So guys, we were successfully completed our project, real-time project we can say. Thanks for joining. And if you recap before we start a Q&A session, and these are the total 7 sprints we were able to complete as part of this project, right? And if you see in first sprint, we mainly focused on the infrastructure setup and through these user stories and subtasks. In sprint 2, we were able to complete the infra connectivity on Azure. If you see, these are the user stories that we covered, and to complete this entire sprint. And sprint 3, we focused on the ingestion part. We were able to complete total 4 user stories. In sprint 4, we mainly focused on the data cleaning activities or data transformations, and we were able to complete all that by using the ADF pipelines in total 7 user stories, if you see. Okay. And when we go to sprint 5, there we covered majority keys, archiving part and logging part, and especially in sprint 5 we covered all these tasks with and also developed ADF pipeline. Okay. And if you see sprint 6, which is very important, where we covered creating triggers, email alerts, and also we did a unit testing. Total, we executed a total 4 user stories. And with the sprint 6, we are able to complete all development parts. And in sprint 7, we focused on a project deployment. We covered prod deployment in sprint 7. We used DevOps and through CI/CD pipeline, we are able to complete all. Okay. In this session, we'll focus on complete project Q&A. Let's get started. When we go to any interviews, so how it will be useful for us. So those kind of things we will discuss, and we will cover majority of Q&A, like question and answers regarding this project. Okay. And also we'll try to take up your question. So based on this project, we created some kind of a call sheet. Okay. What are all we covered? How we correlate this 1 month project with our minimum 12 months project or more than that. I am sure the guys whoever completed till sprint 7, definitely they might have a good ideas what generally these guys do in their companies as a data engineer. To simplify your work, we captured some project topics, or we can also say interview related topics. Okay, here in the first column we'll see project topic, and second column is our real-time project which we covered in 1 month, and generally this project is a 12 month, might be more than that also. Okay, so these and all some topics that we are going to compare, and then we also covered a performance optimization, what are all key key activities that we perform as part of a real project. Okay, I will go through, and challenges I mentioned few, but we will discuss if possible more. Okay, so guys, a team size we just mentioned a 12, and but real time might be 10 to 20 we can expect, and then a project manager, a scrum master will be extra. Okay, when you're preparing for an interview, or when you are ready to work in a real time projects, then don't concentrate on this column. You have to concentrate on this column, and prepare yourself with this third column. Okay, not the second column. Okay, what we covered as part of 1 month project, we are trying to just listed out here, but don't take it this statistics or figures to your interview or to your working area. Okay, and please focus on this and explain only this, not this. Okay, right. If you see, we covered majority of interview questions on this project, right? Okay, now team size, definitely you may sometimes interviewer ask you what is your project team size. In that case, better
Don't say 10 to 20, okay? We just mentioned 10 to 20, but you can say approximately, yeah, we have a 14 members, a team, including, project manager, scrum master, and architects. Okay, like that you can mention, like, in this, right? Project manager, scrum master, and then architects, okay? Architects and leads and developers, okay? You can say this, okay? So altogether we have a 14 members team, or altogether we have a 18 members team, that you can say, right? And generally, when we get a new project, there could be one a project kickoff meeting. It's a kind of an introduction or a high level discussion. This we covered as part of our first session, you remember. So this point is only for your information purpose we placed here, but nobody will ask you this question. But you should aware when you start working in real time project in the companies, then you should not afraid that what is kickoff, okay, project kickoff. Okay, it's kind of a get started. Okay, so generally, if you are in that project from the beginning, then you listen this kind of a terminology. Okay, that time you should behave as an experienced guy, not a new guy. Okay, and architecture design is a kind of a project end-to-end flow discussion. HLD, we already discussed in our first session, right? The same way, uh, you know, this is kind of a technical session where architects or the core technical team will involve and discuss this project architecture. Okay, again, this is also for only for your information. Okay, and sprints. Yes, this question you can expect. Though we completed our works in sprint within sprint 7, but probably it could be more than 10 sprints generally. Okay, so I can say 10 plus. Okay, and each sprint duration, we just covered each sprint in a day, but as a standard, 2 to 4 weeks. We can say 2 weeks. Our sprint size, sprint duration is 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Azure subscription, we used free, but you should not say free. Okay. All projects will use, or all companies will use this pay as you go model. Okay. And environments, we used only dev and production, but real time we have to use dev, test, UAT, and prod. Resources used, it is self-explanatory. These and all the resources that we have used in our project, which we completed. And the same way we will use a 12 months project also. There's no difference. Data governance, especially, it will happen through, it will manage through Azure Active Directories and role-based access control, and then Unity Catalog. Okay. This is a separate topic which will consume a good amount of time. So we won't cover all these within a 1 month project, right? So that is where we made a project very simple and easy to understand everyone. So we did not cover this because this will take a minimum 2 to 3 classes. Okay. Or we can say 1 or 2 sprints. That is reason we are coming with this topic or important subjects in our upcoming project. Okay. Data sources, we just covered only two, MySQL and SFTP, but in real time, you may see many, okay, many data sources. Okay. So guys, you can include more. Okay. I just he mentioned very few, but you can include as much as you can. Okay. If you already working in some area where your sources are more than this, and you can include. Okay. There is no problem. But you can say something like this. Our source is MySQL, or we can also say Hadoop.
We can also say CRM.
Yeah, you can. That's what. There is no limited. Our
That's
source could be anything,
okay.
right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
better use our famous tools. Okay.
Okay.
And type of project. It is a batch data processing. Okay. But we can see in real time, we can see both batch as well as the streaming. Fine. And data set formats, right? formats we use CSV and Parquet, but we will have many other also like CSV, Parquet, JSON, XML, TSV, etc. Okay, if I miss something, you can add. There is no problem. Okay, this is only for your information purpose. I just written some file formats. Okay. And coming to pipelines, ADF pipelines, we created just six, but in real time, there are more than 100 or 80, 100, 120, 150. There's no limit, man. Okay, but in your project, if you're working a 12-month project, then probably somewhere 100 to 120 pipeline will be there. Okay, you can give that figure. Never ever give these figures, guys. Okay, this is only for our internal. You should go with only this. Okay. Size of the data set, we deal only MBs or KBs, but in real time it could be GBs and TBs. So for example, history load, you can say we supposed to load 2021 to 2023. We did a history load. The file almost we loaded 10 TB of data, or we can say 20 or 50 TB of data, terabytes. Okay, and then you know then we continued from 2024 January uh, by using our pipelines, and each day, our pipelines will process 5 MB to 100 MB also. Since these are the incremental loads or full loads. Full load sometimes it will load 5 GB data or 10 GB data at a time, but batch loads or a delta, it will load 5 MB to 100 MB. Okay, it based on the files, based on the pipelines. Okay, why I mentioned 5 MB to 100 MB is because we may have 100 plus pipelines, right? One pipeline will complete in 1 minute, one pipeline will complete in half an hour. So whichever is completing 1 minute, definitely it may process very less data, like some MBs, 5 MB, 10 MB. But the pipeline who is not able to complete in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that pipeline may be a full load pipeline, may process 5 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB, 30 GB, 50 GB data also, right? You don't give a chance to get a doubt. Okay, so uh, what I mean to say is example. Okay, somehow we used one Hadoop pipeline, okay, or on-demand pipeline, ADF pipeline, to load history. Okay, so let us say I loaded 2021 to 2020. Okay, 2023 November. Okay, so from December 1st onwards, we should go live. So guys, try to understand. Go live is a terminology generally we use when a project move from non-prod to production in a running condition. So we create everything, and when we trigger, then that moment we call it as a go live in production. Go live is production deployment. Okay, prod, it will happen only after production deployment. I know after all test pass. Okay, after all tests passed. This word you have to remember. Okay, people will use majority time this word go live. Fine. And once it go lives, right, we have a two types of what is happening. Is this not saving? Okay, it's saving. Batch loads. I can say full load. Full loads will take time. Okay. Um they may ask you out of 100, how many are full loads? Let us say I have a 24 ADF pipelines or full loads. Generally take 10 minutes to 40 minutes. If a pipeline is running 10 minutes, then See, this is only for guys. It's not accurate. Okay. If a pipeline is completing 10 minutes, I assume pipeline may process, let us say 5 GB data. See, there's no thumb rule. Okay. I'm not, you cannot consider this as a exactly. Okay. It could be more or less. If a pipeline is completing in 40 minutes, I assume it might process around 40 GB data. So this is full load. Okay. This is full load. You can say, okay, if they ask this question, you can say incremental load or delta. Incremental load or delta load. Okay. So I can say we have 80 pipelines. Okay. 80 pipelines. These are the delta, right? So some pipelines will complete in 4 minutes, example. Okay. And some pipelines may complete in 8 minutes. Okay. Or some pipelines may complete in 10 minutes also. Or some pipelines may complete 20 minutes also if the data is used. Again, you can say 2 minutes, 6 minutes. Okay, guys, just for your information. Okay, 2 minutes, it might be processing 2 GB data or 1 GB data. See, 2 minutes, you try to understand. So it won't take 2 minutes only processing, right? So, right, we have implemented multiple error handling and email alerting. There are many activities that we involved before it goes to actual work, right? So that will take some time. Okay. So let us say this is processing 100 MB data. This is processing some 300 MB data. This may be processing, let us say 1 GB data or more than that. I can say 4 GB data. And this may be processing some 10 GB data. Not exactly, guys. You can say nobody will ask, okay. But this is my assumption. Okay. 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 Databricks notebooks, we used only 10 altogether, but it depends on the project. We may use more than 100. Okay. And default catalog used, it is high metastore in our case, but in real time, it is high metastore or Unity catalog. I'm again telling you, Unity catalog is a very, very important subject that everybody is supposed to learn as a data engineer who is going to use Databricks in their companies. Okay. And cluster type, I told you, right? We have interactive, we used interactive cluster, and these are the policies. Okay. But you have to focus on this cluster. Job clusters for scheduling the jobs, all purpose cluster for deploying. Okay. And instant pools. There are three types. Okay. Job cluster, all purpose cluster, and pools. Okay.
Are
So
you
you may
saying?
expect questions from
Okay.
this. Yes.
Okay.
Anybody talking?
Are you saying in my environment have three type of cluster we are using?
Yeah. Yeah. It could be any environment, but
Okay.
you consider this as a production.
Okay.
In production, we'll use this job cluster instead of all purpose cluster. All purpose cluster will use very less, only very less people will use. But this is all purpose. You can say if we want to test some job, if you want to run some query ahead, then that time I will use this. But we might schedule this 120 pipelines, right? So for all pipelines, we'll use only job clusters. It won't be recommended for to use all purpose clusters. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
The basic difference between all-purpose cluster and job cluster is the job clusters are much scalable and cost saving. All-purpose cluster are less scalable. It has limitations in scalability, in auto scaling basically. And also job clusters will start only when you run the pipeline from ADF, and will get terminated when the pipeline is completed. So this saves a lot of cost in infrastructure side. So yeah, mostly for ADF pipelines, they will use job clusters, and all-purpose cluster, as Naresh already said, it's for like ad hoc jobs and running notebooks inside the Databricks and all. That time we can use all-purpose clusters. And instance pools are basically used for loads which are with like history load, large amount of data. If you want to process, it contains F16. We can add F16 F16 V2 type of clusters in that. So it's more suitable for larger loads, instance pools.
So guys,
Okay.
simple answer. When you get this kind of a question from anywhere, you can answer that. Currently, we have three types of cluster in Databricks: job cluster, all-purpose cluster, and pools. Job cluster mainly used in a production where when we schedule a pipeline, we will attach this cluster. All-purpose cluster will be used for interactive purpose, and instant pool generally we will use it for a history loads. You say this, that's it. Okay, don't explain too much.
So, Naresh, we are using all these three in real time, all these three.
Yes.
It's like a Databricks create computer. That button only we are creating all these three.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
okay, thanks.
Okay.
Instance pools, you have one more tab for instance pool.
They won't ask you how to create and all because infra team will create these. Okay, you have to have a knowledge only on what is this. That's it.
Basically, you guys need to have knowledge when to use job clusters, when to use instance pool, and when to use all-purpose clusters. Only that kind of knowledge, it's enough for you as a data engineer.
Yes. Okay. Don't go a deeper. That is not useful for you at this time. Fine. Okay. A cluster configuration. So, Aster, if you want to explain this cluster
Yeah, in
configuration.
cluster configuration, we have used standard DSV v2, which is which was in unrestricted mode, all-purpose cluster. And in real time, we can use as per our load, because since in our current real time project for 1 month, it was just in MBs. So we used this was the most basic configuration, and which was applicable for our free trial. If we go beyond the standard DSV v2, our Azure account won't have that kind of limitations. So it had some sort of limitations. That's why we gone with this. But in real time, we can go with we can go with any kind of configuration based on your workload. If first you can try with DSV through, if your pipelines are running successfully and as expected in the time limit, then we can go with same standard DSV v2. But if it's not, but if it's taking a lot of time and workload is not handling, then we can upgrade it to higher versions, higher configurations. So yeah, job clusters also in current project, like we can use standard DSV v2 for job clusters, and for all purpose also we can use the same.
Okay. So just remember this word, guys. Standard DS3, F8, F16. These are the
F8,
you
yes.
know yes, F8, F16 are the maybe used for the history load to deal huge data. Okay, so that's it, and don't spend too much time on it. Okay. SQL warehouse. The SQL warehouse we did not use because of the free trial. We are limited to use only one cluster. So
So in real time, we can use there are three what you call sizes in a SQL warehouse. That is extra small, medium, and high. Large, actually it should be larger. So by mistake I've written high, but it should be large, medium to large. So it's based on the amount of load you put to query that data. So yeah, SQL warehouse, in SQL warehouse also we have two versions. One is classic version, one is pro version. Pro version is much more is new version, and much more preferred version than to classic. Classic has a limited functionality and what you call syntax wise and all. So most of in real time, most of them will use a classic pro version only of SQL warehouse in Databricks. So I've pasted a link where you can get more clarity on like pro version, why we use.
I have a question for you, Naresh.
yeah,
Sorry
go
to
ahead,
disturb.
go ahead.
On the top, you were telling me about the developers. In a team size, how many will be in the developer team? usually?
I expected this question anyway, don't worry. Might be 8 to 10.
Okay. With the team of 14, you say 8 to 10 will be
Yeah, yeah,
developers.
you will get now. You will get exact figure now. Okay, leads could be 2 to 3. Architects could be 1 to 2. And Scrum Master is 1. Project Manager is 1. Now you can calculate. You got it right?
Yes, yes, I got it.
You can say this.
Okay.
Okay.
One more thing,
And this is,
Naresh. Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, this is only development. Okay. I'm not included any testing team. Testing team is different. Okay. You no need to answer that question. So, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one more question regarding the historical this thing. Naresh, can you just scroll down a little bit?
Sure. Mm.
The historical load.
Mm.
Can you just guide me or give me some resources where I can find the historical, how to load the historical pipelines for the real time? If you have any resources or any videos.
See, let me tell you, right? Definitely, you are a developer who created a pipeline to load data in batch wise or incremental or full load, right? The same pipeline, you will do a small changes where you will use that pipeline as a historical load on demand. So that means you won't schedule that pipeline anymore. You will trigger that pipeline manually. While triggering, you have to pass the parameters like to date and from date. The moment you enter to date and from date, even it is a fast, then it will pick up that data from the source and bring to our target. Okay, that we are calling it as a historical load.
Okay, can you find some good resources on this one, this particular?
Same. I think do one thing. Um, in our next project, we are going. Definitely, we will touch this. Okay, we will show a practical demo how we load historical data. Okay, in our next project.
Okay,
Done.
okay, Naresh. Thank you.
Great.